লাইফটা রয়েছে। এইখানে যে ডাটাটা দিচ্ছি সেটা কোথায় আসবে? আমরা স্টোর কোথায় হবে? ফর্মটা দিয়ে নেওয়া হবে, সেটা ওখানে যাচ্ছে। ওখান থেকে ডেটাটা এবং কি নাম সেভ হচ্ছে। এই একটা টেস্ট, এই তথ্য হচ্ছে ডেটা।
Let's start. Good afternoon, students. Uh, Last class, we discussed about Alexander Pope's lives, his career, and also several characteristics of the great poet's poems. And you know that in your syllabus there is Alexander poem Ode on Solitude. So this particular word solitude is quite important in this title. And this solitude probably that one of the oldest poem of poet's career, like the Songs and Sounds and towards the Christ, those type of poems. This ode on solitude is one of the most earlier or the earliest poem of Pope's career. So today we will read the poetry, its takes, and with the text we will analyze the every line, every word, and different type of themes and different type of backgrounds that attach to this particular poem of the Alexander Pope. So first come about the title of the poem, Ode on Solitude. So last day I told you what is ode. Ode is under the umbrella term, the genre elegy. Ode is a type of elegiac poem, like lyric poem, like elegy, like sonnet. So, ode is particularly that one poem under the umbrella term that is called the lyric poems. So, you know that Alexander Pope's this ode on solitude, he wrote only age of 12 in his childhood era. And the critics sometimes become surprised, astonished that how such a great theme like solitude the poet wrote in such an early age. This is important. And here we can look at the background and the familial background, the personal background of Alexander Pope's life. And this brings to our knowledge that when Alexander Pope was quite early of his age, he lived with his parents very near to the nature in the forest area, a village quite far away from the city life of London, Manchester, Leicester, etc. And this particular ode here that expresses Pope's desire to live in solitary place that is far from the madding crowd of the city, din and bustle of the city life, and Pope here quite emphasize on the particular condition, the solitudeness or the solitude. And in the poem, the poet told us that to a man, to a person, his or her motherland, his or her country is quite important, a place of peacefulness. And if a man or a person had some acre of land, some area, so the man is quite happy, and the man felt extremely happy because he has the person has some area in this world or in or on the land of the mother nature. So that is quite important. And the poet here expresses his deep desire, his craving to go back to that country life, to the lap of the nature, and to enjoy the blissful, the atmosphere with fruits and with the juicy fruits and beautiful flowers and with the milk of the cow, goat, and the lambs, and also the shade of the trees in summer, and from the branches, the dry branches in the same winter, he will lead the fire to warm or to make him warm in the winter season. So everything he wants to get from the nature, and he here wants to tell that nature has everything and we have to go nowhere because the nature of the countryside, the nature of the village is fulfilled from every corner, and they can supply us, they can give us everything what we need in our life, and that is the poet's main actually the pleading or the request to the people to come and to leave the solitude area of the country. Another important matter, what we see at the last stage of the poem, towards the last of the poem, where the poet says that he wanted to be to being unfamiliar with the people even in day, because he says that I want to die without knowing any stone at all. That the poet here wanted to live quite singularly, solitary, and in a blissful solitude where the poet needn't want any, or the poet need not to gain any fame, any familiarity, or any type of richness, any type of popularity, and any type of the praise and admiration from the people. And Pope also requested to his relative that after his death he need not do any chaos, because he silently and quiet with solitude he wanted to go to the heavenal world. And this is poet's thinking in this poem Ode on Solitude. So again, just in brief, I focus on the title that there are Ode on Solitude. That two important word here. One is ode, and I already told you that ode is a type of lyric poem, and this is a type of lyric. And in ode, the poet generally admires someone, praises someone, and it is very serious in tone, and it is quite melodious in its rhythm and its pattern. And another important word of the title, that is solitude. And you know that solitude means the loneliness. That means the people. That is a condition of the complete race, and the calmness of the nature, and also the calmness of the mind, and completely free from any noise and any din and bustleness of the chaotic life. So this is the solitude. So here the poet praises the solitude, the condition, the atmosphere of the solitude, and he wants to live in this type of environment which is completely solitude. And here the poet wants to get the that type of solitude where the poet probably can communicate, or actually make the communication with God, and make his that community with such the invisible nature of the world and the nature, that is quite important in this poem. So come to the text. I sent you the text in your group yesterday. So please open the text, and we will now thoroughly read the text of this poem, Ode on Solitude. So before just reading of the poetry, I just tell you about the structure of the poem. So you know that there are 20 lines in total in the poem, and 5 stanza there are. And the first 3 lines there are 8 syllables, and the next of the fourth line of every stanza carries the 2 syllable, or the not two but the 4 syllables, actually the two words sometimes and the 4 syllable. So that is very important, the specific style of writing. So first 3 lines there are 8 syllables of the stanza, and the last line or the fourth line there are 4 syllables in the or in every stanza. And sometimes there is a caesura, that means the pause in the line or the pause in the thinking, and the poet uses the caesura actually to give some pressure, some emphasized that articulation of any word or about the some words. So that is very important. So now come to the direct poem and look at the poem. I think you all get the poem Ode on Solitude. Though I start from the first line and I am just giving you the meaning of the every word, every line quite vividly. Here, the poem starts with the line, Happy the man whose wish and care a few paternal acres bound, content to breathe his native air in his own ground. So the poet first phrases that the man is blissful and the man is happy whose wish and whose care can give the few parental acres of bound, content to breathe his native air and in his own ground. So here in this line, the poet feels that human being is quite happy in this world who have some land, a piece of land, what he gained or inherited from his parents or from his family. So that man is quite happy that the man has some land area of or a acre of land here, a piece of land here on this land, and where the man can with freedom and with liberty can stand and can enjoy the liberty and also breathe the native air, that means in his own country, the air of his own country he could breathe and own ground. So this is a particular the special satisfaction for the poet that when a person could get to breathe the own air in the own atmosphere in his birthplace, in his own native country. So that is quite important according to the poet. So in the first stanza, the poet here actually heralds announces the triumph of the humanity, the triumph of the human lives, that a human who gained a land in his own country, in his own motherland, and where he could get to breathe the breathe in his own sweet will and in his own ground he could stand and with liberty he could do everything. So this is quite important here in this poem. So the first stanza, four line, that or in that stanza, in the first stanza, the poet here that establishes the man's freedom, the man's liberty, the man's solitudeness, and also the man's simple freedom for or to get the bar breathe in the native air or in the native atmosphere in his own ground or in his own land, that is important. So having land, being the owner of a simple land, agricultural land, and also to get freedom there is quite important to human beings. So here, the love for nature, at the same time, the love for own country, the love for own that hereditary land that the poet get from that the heritage or actually from his father, that is quite important. So then come to the next paragraph where the poet more freely and more distinctly says and told about the peasants or the farmers. that here, whose hearts with milk, whose fields with bread, whose folks supply him with attire, whose trees in summer yield him shade in winter fire. So here the poet says that if a farmer has a land, a piece of land, an acre of land, so if the farmer has the herds of cattle, gobadi pushu cattle, so herd of cattle like cow, like goat, and like lambs, so they can get milk to drink and to live. Who's filled with bread. That means actually from this field, the man, the farmer, the peasant can cultivate all the bread for the whole year. That means the food for the whole year. So the man is here independent for his food and for the meal. And which folks here, for the folk means the folk of the lands, and the folk that gives the actually the woolen dress, and from those folks he can get, or he could get the woolen dresses, and that, or with this woolen dress he make the attire to live in the winter season. Again, in that particular land, the man has the trees on his land, and the trees has the double facilities, the dual facilities, one in summer and one in winter. So when summer, there is a strong heat of the sun, the dazzling heat of the sun. So at that time, the poet or the farmer, they could get the shadow, the beautiful sweet shadow, the cool shadow from that tea. And in the winter, from that tea, they will collect, or they could collect the branches, the dry branches, and lighting fire on the dry branches. They could make the fire, and that fire will warm them in the winter season. So that is very important. So which man here, that our poet says that, so but or born as a farmer is quite that blissful in this world, because a farmer has everything, a village people has everything, because they live in the lap of the nature. There they got milk, there they also got the bread, and there they also got the supply of the woolen dresses, and also supply the say the shadow, and actually the center, cool center in summer, and the warm fire in winter. So everything they got, and even they could breathe with their own sweet will the fresh air in the country, and what is not at all contaminated by the industrial society that was quite actually in vogue in the time of Pope, when the Pope actually raised or in 18th century. So that is very important. Next, in the third paragraph, the third stanza. Blaze took an unconcernedly fine hours, days, years, slide soft away in health of body, peace of mind, quiet by day. So the poet here says that he lived in the countryside, blessed by the God, and unconcernedly, that means actually unconsciously, he wanted to spend his life hour by hour, day by day, year by year, all the time of his life in the lap of nature, and in the blissful atmosphere or the blissful milieu of the natural landscape and the natural beauty, natural picturesque scenario. So that is quite important. And here, the quiet, that means the peacefulness, the stillness, and the solitude, that is very important because solitude is only possible in countryside, in the village, or in the lap of nature. Otherwise, it is impossible to get in the city life, and where Alexander Pope lived the latter life. So, in this stage, when he wrote this poem, he lived in the countryside, and in that time, he was only 12 years old. And the baby, he enjoys the peace and actually like his simplicity. He also compare his simplicity with the simplicity of the nature. So here, just like the William Blake songs of innocence, here the poet feels the innocent like the innocent God, and everything innocence and purity in the solitude of the in the solitude of the God's world, and that is quite important. So the poet Alexander Pope here wants to live a life of solitude day by day, every hour by hour, even his whole life. And he wants to live only in solitude and far away from far from the madding crowd of the ignoble strife of the modern society, of the modern industrial society. Next, the next stanza, the fourth stanza, where the poet says that sound sleep by night, that in the village size there is no sound, so he can fail in that sound sleep by night, and study and age and together mixed sweet, that recreation and innocence which most does please with meditation. So in those four lines, the poet says that in the village life, the poet gate the silent night, and in that silent night he could sleep well, or he had the sound sleep with ease and comfortable. And together mixed with this situation, he could read well, he could study well with ease and comfort, and together makes he also enjoy the sweet recreation which was created completely by nature, like the birds singing, like the playing of the birds, and there is the nature's playing, just like the barred cloud, and the setting and rising of the beautiful sun and its beautiful moon ray, etc., and the gleaming, and also the glimmering of the stars, and also the playing of the dews on the petals of the flower. So those are very important, and the poet entertained and gave the recreations from this type of solitude quality and in that village life. So actually, in every line, every word, the poet here try to bring the atmosphere of solitude. What actually he feel that only possible to get in the village or in the countryside, and it is impossible to get in the city or in the urban life. So that is the matter. And what he say in the last stanza? Thus let me live unseen, unknown, thus unlamented, let me die, and that steal from the world, and not a stone tell where I lie. The poet here says that let me live unseen, unknown. I don't want to be familiar in this world. I don't want to be want to be popular in this world. I want to unknown, unseen, and I just complete my life or spend my life only in the solitude and only on the far away from any type of social or the social relationship or any type of the social familiarity. And even after my death, I want that even the stone should not know about my death. I want to just mingle with the dust, quite just with ease and comfort, without any sound, without any cry from my dear and near ones. So, in this a type of poet's feeling, here we get a quality of the poets, that is the escapism. The poet wants to escape from the world, what we see generally familiar to see in the romantic poets, just like Keats and other poets. They want to escape from this world, from this painful world, from the world of the suffering into the dream. So here, not in the dream, but Alexander Pope wants to retire into the village life, into the country life, and where the poet wants to enjoy the blissful, the serene mood and the blissful mood and the blessing of the solitude, and where he could touch the God and communing or make the communication with God through the solitude atmosphere, and that is quite important. So, that is the main theme of the poem. So, once again, I read the poem at a glance, and I am telling you the meaning word for word of this poem. So what the poet says here, that happy the man whose wish and care of few parental acres bound, content to breathe his native air in his own ground. So the poet says that, my dear friends, the man is very happy who has the land in this world, the land in his motherland. So, if a man has an acre of land, so a man can breathe there with his own sweet will, and this is, or on this ground, the man could feel the freedom to take the breath, the freedom to take the living there, of the life there, quite or with ease and comfort. So this is very important. So here the poet actually says, the or actually praises the life of the humanity, like the natural human nature, and the man's life in the lap of nature. So here nature gives the solitude, and human being takes the bliss of solitude and enjoy the bliss of solitude in this countryside. And here, show being the country people, being the farmer is a bliss, and it's a blessing from God in this world of the chaotic, or in this world of the anarchy. So next, the poet says in the next stanza, that whose heart with a milk, though whose fields with bread, that is who is whose? The farmers. So the farmers are here, have everything. They got the milk from their cattle, the cows, and also the goats and the lambs. They got their milk, and also with the milk, they also got the bread for their, or to feed them, their offsprings and their near and dear ones in their family. So they have everything to live, all the substance for living, the milk and the bread they got here in this country land, or in this land where, or which he got from his father, or from its ancient generation, or hereditary he got, and which folks supply. That means the folks means actually here the folk of lands, who gives us the woolen, or whose body are full of the woolen, or actually attire. So attire means actually the dress. So this type of animals that in the winter country they give us the wool to make the dress which we use or we could use in the time of the winter. So they also help us to get the attire there. And then the poet again says that in this land, the nature, the trees are also helpful in two ways all the year, both the time in time of summer and in time of the winter. That trees are helpful. Why and how? In summer, they give us the cool shade, and not only the human being but also they give the shelter to the birds, to the animals, to everything with whom a man that create its environment. That this is the eco-environmental phase where there is the sustainable that living quality, the sustainable quality development in this nature in this land. And also in the winter, the dry branches of the tree অর্থাৎ গাছের যে শুকনো শাখা প্রশাখাগুলো যেগুলো ভেঙে পড়ে, অথবা the men can collect the dry branches from the tree and by lighting the fire সেগুলোতে আগুন ধরিয়ে they can raise the fire, the heat, and by the warm heat they live in the winter season. So both in summer and winter they get the help from the trees. That is very important. And the village life, the woody life, the wildlife could only supply them this type of ageful and this type of comfortable life to human beings. So next, our poet Alexander Pope says that place to who can unconcernedly find hours, days, and years slide soft away in health of body, peace of mind, quiet by day. So the poet wants to say that here that God, oh God, oh nature, I want to live here hour after hour, day by day, and year after year in peaceful mind, because my body is feeling healthy in this atmosphere. And I also get the peace of mind, and that is only possible in this village or in this solitude or in this solitary atmosphere, in the lap of nature or in the side of nature, in this wildlife that is far away from the madding crowd of ignorant life of the city life. So that is quite important. So here in the third stanza, that means in Tritiyo stanza, the poet pleads. The poet pleads here. The poet, the request, the God, that God give me solitude. The God adds hour after hour, month after month, day after day, year after year. I can live in this solitude, and in this solitude, I can find the healthy life and healthy atmosphere and the peace of mind and quiet day by day. I want to live in quiet. I don't want any recognition of the world. I don't want any name, fame, richness. So I want only one, that is the peaceful atmosphere, and I want to live in peace. I want to live in blissful attire that I think solitude will give me. And in the inner world, like William Wordsworth, the greatest nature poet ever created by our world or by the English literature, he also says that everything, the power, the God, whose presence is in nature. And that is called the fantastic creed, where we find that God's presence in nature and God is the creator of the world. So, like Wordsworth, here Pope also, in his younger stage, younger life, the Pope felt that peaceful nature is the synonymous of the God's place. So God can live and God can stay, God can give His communion with the human being, with the simple people, with the simple rustic people there in the countryside, and that is quite important. Here, there is quite interesting matter to refer. That actually we know that you also know that Pope is not at all the nature poet latter life. And latter life, his poetry became completely changed, or the poetry belongs to another world, that is the world of satire, the world of urban life. So such a poet who was a staunch urban poet, how in his earlier life the poet wrote such a great poem of nature in his early childhood. So, what type of difference that make the poet from village poet to urban poet, from country poet to urban poet? Here, there is a certain change in Pope's life. So, anyway, in this poem, we see that Pope's attitude to nature, Pope's ease and comfort, finding ease and comfort in nature is quite important. Here also, the poet says that in the fourth stanza of the poem, that sound, sleep by night, study and ease together makes sweet recreation, and innocence most does please with meditation. So meditation, that is important. And this meditative mode is called the blessed mode by Wordsworth. So here, Alexander Pope wants the meditative mood. That meditative mood is possible only in the country, only in the countryside or in village life. So he here says that if I live in this village life, if I live in village, so I could sleep there a sound sleep, and I could study with ease and with comfort or the comfortable situation. And together I also get the sweet recreation in nature with the bird song and with the animals playing, with the actually the lapping of the water to the stones, and the buzzing sound of the different type of the insects, and also the twittering of the different type of the birds, and also the sounds from the nature, and also the dews playing on the petal of the flowers, and also the sun's ray, the crimson color of the setting sun, and also the reddish color of the rising sun, and also the varied cloud that is brightened by or in the reflection of the sun, and also there is the moon and the playing of the moon behind the cloud, or the lonely cloud there in the sky, and also there is the glimmer of the stars, the gleaming stars. All are there in the nature, the part of the nature from where the poet recreate himself, or get the recreation for his that receives time. So that is quite important. And with those, the poet's ultimate aim is to meditate in nature, is to meditate, or the getting the meditation. And with this meditation, he wants to join with God and wants to join with the nature, and the we can say the entity of nature. So where the solitude is the way in which the human entity and the entity of the nature come into one, and it fused into one, where nature and man is synonymous. Man lives for nature and nature is for man. So man is for nature and nature is for man. That is come synonymous, like Wordsworth here in this poem of Ode on Solitude by Alexander Pope. Show the last stanza. Thus let me live. The poet here pleads that let me live unseen, unknown, like an escapist says that, no, no, my friends, I never become famous, become familiar in this world, in this society. I want to die here unseen, unknown, as a solitary being in this world, in the lap of nature, like the unknown animals, the unknown part of the nature. So that is very important. So still from the world and not of stone where I lie. So actually, the poet wants to say his relatives that my relatives, after my death, please you bury my body that even the stone couldn't know that where I am or where I am buried. So the poet is escapist, and this escapist or escapism is not the cheated for the fancy or for the short time, but forever the poet wanted the total solitude, and the poet wanted to live and wanted to escape from the world of din and bustle to this world of solitude. And this is the ode of solitude. So according to the poet, the solitude is the best of that blessing of the god. So here the poet odes, prayers, and admires the solitude, and solitude is a blessing to human being, and it gives us a wonderful that opportunity to mix with the nature, to mix with the god, and get the blessing of the god, and get the nectar. Nectar means sweet juice, the nectar of the heavenal bliss of that nature. So the nectar of the heavenal bliss of the nature we want, the poet want from this or with this solitude. So this is the poem Solitude. So finally, before completing the class, I just simply told, I'm telling you in 5 or 6 sentences what the poet wants to say as a theme in this poem, that solitude is the greatest blessing of God. Being a countryman or being a farmer is a blessing in this life. A man who has a land, a man who has something to eat, the man is quite happy in this world. Because standing on his own land, the man can breathe, the man can live, and from this land he also gave the milk of his cattle, which could graze on that land, and also the bread for the daily food, and also the wool or the dresses that could be created from the extra or excretionary wool by those animals. So that is important, that everything a man can get from the nature, even in summer, the trees will give him the particular shade, the cool shade, and the calm shade. And in winter, he also gave the dry branches from the tree, and firing the or the lighting the fire on the branches. The man, the farmer, will get the fire, and that fire will give the warmth to live or to resist the winter or the coldness of the winter. That is important. So the poet, by seeing, by finding quite closely the farmer life or the peasant life, here says that, oh my dear God, oh my God, please give me the light, give me the hours, days, years, and everything that I want to live in solitude. And please keep my body healthy and give me peace. And I want in my mind the cool peace and quiet by day. So I want the quiet life and peaceful life, and the restful life and the healthy body and healthy atmosphere that I only get in this village life with those farmers. And here, I think that I know that I could sleep well, and that sound sleep I could have here in this peasant life, or in this life, in this village life. And here I can study from nature, and I can study with ease and comfortable situation. And also, here are ample recreation, the bird songs to the swans paddling on the lake, or the beautiful water of the lake, show that that is very very important, that recreation is there. And every recreation, after recreation, even here there is the ideal situation for meditation. And in this meditation I can communicate myself, I can get the communication, and I can communicate with my God, the creator of the world, God. And finally, my dear God, my dear nature, my dear relatives, to everyone he addresses and told that please let me live unseen, unknown. I want to be an escapist. I do not know. I don't want any fame, any name, any rich names in this world. I only want solitude names. I only want the happiness in life. I only want the peacefulness and the rest in life. So even after my death, I want that no stone will find my body, that where I am buried. So I want to hide under the world, and being the world in a solitude mode. So in life, in death, in everything, I pray solitude. I want solitude. I want to have solitude in everything. And to get solitude, even I wanted, or I want to be an escapist. So this is the poet's, or Alexander Pope's Ode on Solitude, where the poet here, or the poet actually the praises the solitude. So this is Ode on Solitude. So uh, today I completed the poem, the text of the poem in full. If there is any query, or if there is any problem to understand the meaning, to realize the meaning, or any type of that problem, if you face, so in the next class we will try to solve the problems when we discuss different type of things on it, and different type of texture, how, or different type of rhetoric here used, and different type of the technical matter that the poet carry out, or the poet carries, and other the different type of aspects of the poem we also discuss on the next class. So today's our class is here over, and thank you everyone. And I request you to read the text well, at least 5 times, and you yourself can realize or understand what is the meaning of the text, because there is no such critical words, and I think you will find easily the words, and just that inner feeling is necessary here to make you understand the poems and realize the feeling, the poet's feeling, and the poets what the poets wants to say here. That is very important. So read the poetry well, and this is important for you. So thank you, and the class is over. So thank you again.
अच्छा